I'll do some scary movie.
Like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you.
Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. My name is Ben and I'm joined here with Matt. If you are unfamiliar with the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review and give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. This week we're going to be talking about Creepshow from 1982. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
Coming soon. Jolting tales of horror. Creepshow. From the author of Carrie, The Shining, and Cujo. And the creator of Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. You'll scream at ghastly ghouls. Cringe at weird kids. And shiver at the doings of evil doctors.
This is going to be extremely painful, Mr. Verrill.
Creepshow will grab you, grow on you, and give you the creeps.
No, this is going to be an entirely new experience.
Creepshow, the most fun you'll ever have being scared.
Okay, right, we got 5 grisly tales from a kid's comic book about a murdered father rising from his grave, a bizarre meteor, a vengeful husband, a mysterious crate's occupant, and a plague of cockroaches. It's directed by George A. Romero, written by Stephen King. Huge casting, but some of the best mentions is Leslie Nielsen, Adrienne Barbeau, Ed Harris, and Stephen King himself is acting in this, with a total runtime of 2 hours. Oh man, I haven't seen this film as much as what I thought I had. I think I've only seen this a small handful of times, maybe 3 times.
Do you ever mix it up with the second one? I mix it up with the second one. Oh, cool! It's going to be the sort of the oil slick that eats people in the lake, and I was like, oh no, wrong film.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, because I definitely found Creepshow 2 before I watched the first one. I think I had it on VHS.
Okay. Yeah, I like Creepshow 2. It's directed by Michael Gornick, who did the cinematography in this. So, and he went on and he did the cinematography in Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead. He's really, really good. I like the way it looked, the second one, particularly that one with the oil slick. This one is great as well, and we'll get into what's great and what we think about it. But it's got a great... This one's the one where you've got the proper big names in it as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like Hal Holbrook is in Magnum Force and The Fog and Into the Wild, but he always plays like a really decent character, and he does in this as well, against your favourite Adrienne Barbeau. He's really good in it. I think he plays sympathetic considering what he does. We won't spoil it, but considering what things he does, he stays pretty sympathetic all the way through. Only Hal Holbrook could do that. Leslie Nielsen, on the other hand,
oh man,
what
completely
do you think?
Different.
He's great, but it's weird to see him playing. I don't know. It's quite campy, so it's not like super serious.
Yeah. The whole thing is kind of campy and not serious.
Yeah,
but that's kind of the point.
That's true.
But yeah, that was very.
He had a whole career as a serious actor before, like Police Squad and Airplane and Airplane First and all those kind of things. So he can do this, but it was weird. I kept waiting for the little jokes and the little. Yeah. And Ted Danson's in this as well, playing a womanizer. Shock. Yeah, he plays a womanizer. I was just thinking this the other day. He plays a womanizer in everything. Like, he's a womanizer in Cheers. He's a womanizer in 3 Men and a Baby. And he's a womanizer in this. So you literally get... But this is the only one where he really gets gets punished, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's... I wonder, what is it about Ted Danson that makes him, like, this sexy guy, Ooh.
I think this was pretty well received when it came out, I think, because it was number one at the weekend box office.
It was massive. It was really successful, wasn't it? Yeah, really successful. And it's like a team up between. It's like a comic book team up of two giants, really. And like Romero and Stephen King, you've got all the Pittsburgh crew of George Romero, and then you've got like Stephen King and his son popping up and like joining in as well.
Yeah,
like it's amazing. I think it's great. It's like it's almost like DC Marvel team up. Like, it's just amazing that you've got them both together. And like it's clear that like George Romero's like, no, we're filming 99% of this in Pittsburgh because that's what I do, and I'm having most of my friends help out. But it's still got like, obviously it's a Stephen King penned everything, so it's got his sensibility as well. It looks really good as well. He's got 4 different editors, so it's a bit, the stories are very different, but the art direction and I found out that the art director did Unbreakable and The Sixth Sense and Falling Down. Like, really, when you think of them, you think of the color, you think of the like Unbreakable, I think of like blue and rain, and like Falling Down, I think of like hot oranges and things like that. So like the art direction is very key, and in this,
it's very vibrant colours, aren't they? They pop.
Yeah,
really
what
hard.
Are the 2 colours? I think there's 2 colours there.
Red and blue, I think it is. Yeah.
There's like 2, like almost. Because I was trying to think, what is it like? Playing off the different colours of the old 3D glasses, but that's green and red. So I was wrong.
I did.
It's really cool.
I did see that apparently George A. Romero and Stephen King, they were already really good friends at this point.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they'd been looking for an opportunity to work together. So I think Stephen King kind of wrapped up all these stories to make a film out of them.
Yeah, and he's not like, we have to do this in Maine. I'm from Maine. We're doing this in Maine. Whereas George Romero's like, I'm from Pittsburgh. All my friends are in Pittsburgh. We're doing it in Pittsburgh. And Stephen King's probably, well, he was probably like doing a lot of coke around the time anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I'll go to Pittsburgh. He was probably fired up to do anything. And his stuff was pretty wild around this time, wasn't it? I'm not sure how close this is to Maximum Overdrive, but like, that's a pretty mad film that kind of typifies where his brain was at the time.
Yeah.
But this one's got some like low-key, really great actors in it, like let's say John Amplas is in it briefly. Tom Savini plays the garbage man. Not necessarily great actors, but like great faces and people you know. Ed Harris, who was in George Romero's Night Riders.
What else is Ed Harris in? Because I really recognise him, but I couldn't...
Apollo 13, Pollock. He won the Oscar for Pollock, about Jackson Pollock. He wasn't in a sequel, so I could say he was in a load of Pollocks. A load of Pollocks. That's a bad joke. He's been in a lot of cowboy films as well. He's in Truman Show. That's not a cowboy film.
That might be it.
You might remember him from that.
Yeah,
was he something like The Creator or something like that?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's been in loads.
This was Stephen King's screenwriting debut, but I think 3 of these, because there's 5 stories in this, I think 3 of them he wrote specifically for Creepshow, but 2 of them were already short stories that he'd written.
Right, because he's very generous with his stories and short stories. I remember funding, like, you know, on Kickstarter, somebody was doing a film based on a Stephen King short story, and what he does, he licenses them to anyone who wants to make films out of them, which I think is a really nice thing to do, just to kind of support other creators. I don't think many people would do that, just like completely free.
Wow.
So then, so there's one, I can't remember what it was about. It might have been about a milkman, and I think I gave like a tenner to it or something. One of his short stories about milkman. I suppose he's written so many. He's just like, yeah, go for it. Make a movie out of this 3-page book story. Yeah, it's a great sensibility, though, isn't it? It's like EC Comics, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, all those kind of anthologies that I love, like Tales of the Unexpected. I love Hammer House of Horrors, where it's all these little anthologies. I love them. How do you feel about anthologies?
I'm not too familiar with the anthologies. I mean, I know Tales of the Crypt. Have you ever heard of what's it called? It's another Tales from the Dark Side, I think it's called.
Yes, yeah,
that was a good one. I've not seen that in years. But yeah, I'm not too clued up on anthologies.
The ones I'm not so up to date with are like the modern ones, like the VHS ones, or sort of ones that are kind of anything in modern day, kind of digital based ones, or where it's kind of like 6 or 7 stories all put together. I know there's VHS and VHS2, which I believe are supposed to be quite good. There's some good creators who've done some work on those. But I'm more like the old Amicus anthologies were my favourites. Years ago, I used to watch a lot of those. Like Asylum is a really good one, and every room in the asylum is a different person who's been put into the asylum with a different backstory. So that's really, I like the kind of creative, way of doing that. All like Dr. Terror's House of Horror, Dr. Horror's House of Terror. I always get that mixed up. Like ones where somebody is, let's say, a curse is put on a group of people and they all go their separate ways, and then each person, and you see how the curse affects each person. Yeah, this one's looser, isn't it? In the sense of they're not all linked together. It's just essentially like a comic book with like almost like the Beano or something, where it's just a different story on every page. I've always wanted to buy some EC Comics anthologies. I've had a look at them because I just love the artwork on them. Never got round to it though, because a
lot of people put this close to Tales of the Crypt, but I mean, this outdated it by 7 years, I think it was.
It's quite confusing because I think what was the other one you just said? The
Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah, I think that is essentially the continuation of this, but they had to change the name for different things. I get the feeling this is a bit like a Friday the 13th kind of situation where lots of people are fighting over the different names and rights and bits and bobs. Because George A. Romero is kind of known for not necessarily being the best businessman, in the sense of anyone can license and use Night of the Living Dead. He kind of lost the rights to that, which is a real shame. So you're constantly getting people doing versions of it or re-releasing it because it's copyright free. You can watch it on the Film Archive and things like that. So I'd imagine that with this name Creepshow, because there has been lots of different Creepshows, and many of them people who have got nothing to do with Stephen King and George A. Romero. Have you watched any of the Creepshow series, or
no? You mean the ones that are on Shudder? No, I mean you told me about that animated one, but I didn't even realise that was one. But I did do the free trial for Shudder a couple years ago, or maybe I think that was probably before COVID. But I did do a free trial of that, and I watched it all. But I think since then they've done 3 seasons of it now. Maybe more,
maybe more. I've not kept up with it.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, some of them are quite good. I think they're much better than, say, what maybe put me off at the beginning was like I watched Creepshow 3 again, which had nothing to do with the first 2, and I didn't enjoy it very much. And I was like, it's going to be like that, just a bit of a cash-in kind of thing. But actually, I think the ones on Shudder are, for the couple that I've seen, were really good. It's just finding the time, isn't it? I think sometimes in a big, like, it's like things like, I don't know, you see Yellow Jackets and stuff like that pop up, and you think, oh, that'd be really good. I'd watch that, and then I just don't. There's just so much content to choose from, and I think I would probably watch a horror film rather than a horror series. Just in terms of time investment. I didn't even realise there was a third movie to this until, I don't know, a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was quite a way after them, and again, I don't think anyone from the originals are very happy about it. No. I've got like a strange Region 1 box set of all three together, which I only really got for the third one because I was like, well, I guess I need to watch the third one as a completist, not realising there's going to be like millions of TV series I'd have to buy if I wanted to be a completist, which I'm not doing. I'm not buying like every season of it. I don't even know if you can buy them, to be honest. So many things on streaming now, you can't buy them, can you? So, on physical media.
Being from 1982, this feels like it may have been like one of the first to actually do it properly, to include animation with live action. I mean, the only one I can think of from around that time would maybe be Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but I'm pretty sure that was after 82. Yeah, that's like 90s, maybe 90, something like that. That's one of my favourites. I love Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know any 80s. Oh, no, I'm wrong. 1988. 88, okay. Yeah, I can't think of any more. Is it like that computer game? It reminds me a little bit of that computer game, is it like Knight's Quest or something, where it's like an animated computer game. But yeah, I know what you mean, linking it together really well. I think there have been some, and there was like the sort of the racy stuff, like where you put things. I think Fritz the Cat did it. But yeah, there's not a lot that have done it this well. I think certainly the comic book style, you know, look at something like Sin City, which did it so well and was like really striking with the use of black and white and then the reds and the green and yellow is really, really good. They do a really good job here of making a comic book make it look like it's a comic book, like a live action comic book. Yeah, like, I really enjoyed the comic book feel to this, where you get like the comic strips and the page turning transitions and like between the stories and stuff, and the way it's really lovingly done, isn't it? Yeah, and the way that the camera kind of sees it as a cartoon comic picture, and then it slowly fades into like the actual real life story. And it kind of picks up from there. Yeah, I like that. I think it's a very, like I said, lovingly made film with real respect for those kind of influential moments that I imagine for both of them were people who would have sat and read the old horror comics and you know, just kind of like I suppose I'd call it like a love letter to that, which I think is really nice. What it allows you to do as well is to just sort of pick and choose the bits you like as well. You don't have to like the whole thing, and if you don't like one bit, we'll just wait a couple of minutes and then there'll be something completely different. Speaking of the comic feel to this, I did hear that this took some inspiration from like DC Comics, and it got me thinking, because Swamp Thing was from DC Comics, and that was also released in 1982. And it also had Adrienne Barbeau in it. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know that the old EC comics as well that they were kind of linked to was, you know, it doesn't really exist. You sometimes see really cool anthologies of people. I think it only lasted about 10 or 11 years, the actual EC comics. But then people have kind of re-released different bits and bobs. And I think they did some reprints, like as almost like a horror library. But it will have had such a massive input. If you think EC Comics went from 1944 to 1956, so this is probably right in the sort of tail end of their childhood, or at least if their brothers and older brothers or older sisters had them and passed them down, you know, like people do. Like I remember getting my cousins
big stack of comics when I was a kid, and I'm reading comics from the 60s and the 70s, but I was born in 79 and I'm reading them in the 80s. Just used to just get these big boxes of comics. So I'm just imagining Stephen King and George Romero doing the same, being really influenced by it. You take it all in, don't you?
Yeah.
But like, it's funny to think that EC Comics actually stands for educational comics, but they couldn't, that the content being like war, horror, fantasy, science fiction. I guess we could say science fiction is educational, but it's reading. It's like I always say when I'm teaching, I'm like, I don't care what you read, as long as you read, just read, as long if you enjoy it, great. Like I can't stand, this is a very Britain-centric, I can't stand like David Walliams books. I think they're just lazy, really badly written. The first one or two were okay, but he's just like, people are like, oh, he's the Roald Dahl or what have you, the newest Roald Dahl or the reincarnated, but he really isn't. I think he's appalling. But kids like him and they like reading his books. So who am I to judge? Just read.
Oh, Matt's got some beef.
I've got some beef with David Williams. I want to
calling
fight
him out.
Yeah, YouTuber boxing, me versus David Williams.
Right, well, I think that's all I've got now. Other than the budget, we haven't spoke about the budget. This had a budget of 8 mil and had a box office of 21 mil.
Yes, what a successful film.
Yeah, other than that, unless you've got anything you want to add.
No, just other than being a garbage man, Tom Savini did some great effects in this as well, as we know. And I know I'd mentioned about the art direction. To have a commercial film that's done this well from like an old defunct comic idea is brilliant. I think they did really well. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it.
All right, I'll hit that spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning.
Right, so the intro to this film is a young boy called Billy Hopkins. He gets disciplined by his abusive father, Stan, for reading a horror comic called Creepshow. Not wanting his son to be exposed to the comic's content, Stan throws it in the trash. As Billy sits upstairs, wishing that his father rots in hell, he hears a sound at the window. The source of the noise turns out to be the Creep, the host of the comic book, who beckons him to come closer and removes the trash can's lid. What do you reckon to this first intro to the movie?
I love Tom Atkins, but this guy, apparently when he loses his moustache, he becomes a child abuser because he's horrible.
Yeah.
He's like, he abuses Stephen King's son so bad. He's just so mean to him. Like, can you imagine him bringing him along to set? Oh, we want you to play this little part at the beginning of the film and the end of the film. Oh, great, Dad, thanks. And then Tom Atkins just calls you every name under the sun, smacks you around a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, my word. The kid goes away and is like, right, I'm going to write a film called The Black Phone, and it's going to be really dark. It's knocked 7 bells out of him. Yeah. And the mum's just like, oh, stop. No, this is not good. This is abuse. I think Tom Atkins, what it is, he needs a moustache to be a good guy. If he's not got a moustache, he's suddenly very angry and evil.
Yeah, that's like overly disciplined. I mean, I think he even says to him, like, you won't sit down for a week. I was like, whoa, calm down there, Stan.
Yeah, come on, what's going on? And he tells us every single story as well when he's leafing through the comic. It's quite funny. The dad's just like, this is happening and this is happening. Oh, thanks for running down the film for us.
Yeah. So the first story.
It's a good intro, though. Do you like the prologue, even though it's like really mean?
I do like it. It's cool. He could have reined it in a bit, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like do you know, it reminded me a bit of I think it's a Michael Jackson video where like I think Macaulay Culkin's in it, and his dad goes upstairs. I think it's George Wendt from Cheers. Goes upstairs and he's like, you turn that music down or whatever, and he like shouts at the kid, and then he turns the music up and it's like, oh, it's Black or White by Michael Jackson. So the beginning of that video, I was just like, oh yeah, it's just a bit like that. Except, this is a little bit more violent.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realise that was Stephen King's son, Joe Hill.
Yeah, Joe Hill. Yeah,
I think
he's got the same haircut as him in the later
yeah
in the later things. Like they've used the same bowl.
I think he's gone on to be quite a good writer as well, has he?
Yeah, I like some of his short stories. Strangely, he could probably do another Creepshow. And I didn't mind the Black. I thought Black Phone was one of the better sort of more up to date modern films modern horror films that I've seen recently, or in the last couple of years. I thought it was all right. Ethan Hawke was good in it. It's a good story. It had a really good Stephen King feel to it. It felt a little bit like It, like the remake of It. It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Strong recommendation. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Not bad. Okay, should we jump into the first story?
Yeah, let's go. Let's bash through these stories.
We got 5 stories. The first story is Father's Day. So, the wealthy Grantham family sit at their estate waiting for the arrival of Aunt Bedelia for an annual dinner. While they're waiting for her to arrive, Sylvia explains Bedelia's backstory to Cass's new husband, Hank. It seems that Bedelia's father, the now deceased family patriarch Nathan, was pathologically jealous of Bedelia. After Nathan had her lover murdered in what was written off as a hunting accident, Bedelia went over the edge. While caring for the elderly Nathan, Bedelia snapped and bashed Nathan's head in with a marble ashtray. Ever since the time of the murder, which occurs on Father's Day, Bedelia visits the father's grave at the family estate and then joins the others in the mansion for dinner. But this year, as Bedelia sits on Nathan's grave and spills a bottle of whiskey, Nathan's rotting corpse emerges from the ground and attacks her, strangling her to death while demanding his Father's Day cake.
Wow, I feel like that was to explain it takes longer than to watch it.
I know. Yeah. I struggled through that.
I was just like, I don't think I've ever heard you explain something in so much detail that is so short.
I know.
That's like a whole film.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm open to disagreement on it. For me, I think it's the most boring one of the whole thing. Yeah, like it's quite vivid practical effects. You've got the red and blue in there again, which is great. The obnoxious rich family. Ed Harris is in it. It's believable that somebody would want cake from beyond the grave. Like I would want cake from beyond the grave. That's fine. Nothing dates a film more than disco dancing. Like just basically, it's just like that sort of airplane spoof of Saturday Night Fever. It made me laugh. But generally, yeah, for me, this one, I was like, oh, I hope it. I hadn't seen this for a while. I was like, I hope the next one's better because I couldn't remember any of the other ones. And the head on a platter, it made me think, like, why do we say I want their head on a platter? Why do we say that? It's such a weird phrase. And I believe it's because we used to present pigs' heads on platters at meals.
Okay.
So we were just like, I want his head on the platter. But I don't know why silver. I don't know why silver, because it's special, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that was just my observations. But I don't have a lot on it. I mean, I just thought it was one of the more boring ones. But what did you think? What was your thought?
I liked it. There is a little bit more to go. But I just wanted to stop there to mention some things. It really annoyed me when she wasted such perfectly good bourbon.
It's probably apple juice.
I'm a whiskey lover, and that Jim Beam could have gone to better use.
Oh, knocks me sick, I'm afraid.
Oh.
From when I was at university. Yeah, I can't have. Oh no, I'll have if I have whiskey, I'll have like a nice Scotch, but not or not none of that Southern Fried.
Oh.
No, can't do it. The smell of it knocks me sick. So you can have all that.
I thought it was cool, but then I wondered why, after all these years, because I think it was a few years between this, he suddenly turns into a zombie now. And it got me thinking, and I did a bit of research, and I thought this was pretty cool. There's a Gaelic term. It's called Ishkabaha. I think that's how you pronounce it. Ishkabaha. That's a Scottish Gaelic term for water of life. But over time, through common use in Scotland, Ishkabaha was shortened to just Ishka, and that is known as whiskey.
Oh,
so
that's what's
whiskey is the water of life.
Brought him back.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. They're kind of like the family from Knives Out, like obnoxious rich people.
But then
so when they all,
Frank comes along when he goes looking for what's her face, Bedelia, and he finds the bourbon on the ground, and he's like, and it just takes a swig. I'm like, that could have easily been a bottle of piss, but
could have been. Yeah, it's the worst. For me, the worst one, but no, actually, no. There's a tie with another one, but I won't say which one. I have my favourites. In this one, definitely.
Yeah, I was going to ask you at the end if you wanted to rate them from 1 to 5.
Oh, I don't know if I could do that, but I could definitely say my top 2, or maybe top 3 at best. Yeah.
So Nathan then takes revenge on the rest of the family. Hank is squashed by a falling gravestone. The housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers, is just killed. Nathan twists Sylvia's head off her body. In a final gruesome joke, he surprises Cass and Richard with Sylvia's head decorated to what looks like a Father's Day cake, complete with burning candles.
Lovely.
Yeah, I've never heard of a Father's Day cake, but I want one.
yeah, you're gonna make it a thing in Britain.
I'm gonna start demanding
cakes.
that.
Yeah. No actual heads involved though, like proper cake.
Oh,
just make that clear.
Did you think that Hank was kind of lying there because he trips over and falls in that grave? Do you think he was lying there a little bit too long whilst that gravestone was falling? It seemed like an eternity just watching that gravestone just edging forward.
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, the whole thing felt a bit like an eternity for me. I was just like, oh look, there's Ed Harris. Oh look, a bit of disco dancing, and then there was some cool special effects, and then done. I was like, okay, let's go. But yeah, I know what you mean. It could have probably moved out of the way.
I was assuming he would have been behind the gravestone, pushing it off, but he's down by his feet, and I read apparently he's telekinetically moving it. So yeah, apparently zombies can do that.
Yeah, why not? Zombies can do whatever they want. They can run now, I hear.
And use guns.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next story?
Yes.
Right.
I feel like you're reading me some stories. Like this is a storybook.
You're not going to fall asleep, are you?
I'll try not to.
I've got a soundbite for this one, so I'm going to get it ready. The lonesome death of Jordy Verrill. Jordy Verrill is a simpleton who lives alone on his family's rundown farm. A meteor crashes to Earth, landing in his field, and Jordy's aspirations to sell the meteor to the local college for a small fortune, $200.
Holy cow.
Whoa. He tries to pick up the meteor, but it's too hot and he burns his fingers. Jordy's solution is to pour a bucket of water on it, but that causes it to split in two. A dejected Jordy sees his dream of $200 falling down the drain. And then he says,
Oh, you done it now, Jordy Verrill? You monkhead.
He's proper mugging it up, isn't he? Hamming it up.
So much.
There's a reason why he's not an actor.
Yeah. Because he's got, you see him back in the day, he's got really kind of thick glasses, so he's got quite a heavy prescription. But apparently he's taken these glasses off purposely for this role. So, like, filming this, he actually couldn't see much.
Oh my word! I can't imagine. That would be just like me. My glasses are like, the bottom of a Coke bottle, and yeah. Oh my word! I don't know how he did that. He must have better eyesight than me, because if I took my glasses off right now, I'd find it very difficult to like walk across the room. So yeah, maybe he's exaggerated his eyesight issues.
Yeah, he's
a proper hillbilly in it as well. Isn't he?
Yeah.
If that's politically correct, I don't know if we can say hillbillies. I don't know. Get all the hillbilly people saying, "Come on, man."
I know this was
country folk.
I know this was one of his short stories. I'm not sure what the other one was, but this short story that he wrote was called Weeds.
Right. There is a history of things like this: people becoming one with the land, or with or being attacked by the land, like Dave the Triffids or things like that. But I was thinking of like people becoming green plants, like Troll 2, where it's like, oh my god, where the guy's like, he's eating him and then he's going to eat me, and it's like becomes like a big plant, which was a comment on vegetarianism and what a terrible thing vegetarianism was. And there's a really great book about a child that's kind of grown out of the ground called Greenling, by Levi. It's a children's book, but it's a picture book by Levi Pinfold, who's an amazing illustrator. And it's really creepy for a children's book, but really amazing to look at. And that's a kind of thing where this child is kind of green, and it reminded me of this. Both of those, Troll 2 and this, I would prefer over this. This is my least favourite. There's even a really rubbish Willy joke in it. I can't remember what it was now, but there's like a Willy joke in there. Oh, he goes, not that as well, and he looks down at his junk.
Oh
it's
god.
Like, wah, wah, wah. But yeah, what did you think of it? I keep telling you what I don't. Exactly. He did that after he looked at his penis in the thing.
No.
So did you like this? I mean, it's silly, it's fun, and maybe I'm being grumpy, but I don't know. I'm willing to have my mind. It sounded more interesting when you described it, to be honest.
It is. It's silly. If you take it for what it is, which is a silly story, then yeah. So
you're not going to fight me over it.
So he resolves to try and sell the halves, which are now covered in a greenish liquid. Later that night, everything the meteor came in contact with is growing green plant life. Jordy notices his fingers have gone green, and later discovers the alien vegetation, which has now covered the entire farm. Jordy realizes that the alien plant life is now growing on his skin. As the night progresses, Jordy becomes covered in shaggy green weeds, causing him to itch. Yeah, and he cannot stop putting his fingers in his mouth, like all the way through.
It's a good job it wasn't chilly.
Yeah.
He's touching his mouth, his eyes, he's touching his privates. Like this, he would be screaming if he was dealing with chili.
Cool fun fact about this bit, though. Well, it's not cool for him, but apparently Stephen King had an allergic reaction to the makeup that he had to wear for Jordy Verrill's transformation. Oh, wow. And he had to have shots and medication so the work would be bearable.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He didn't win the Oscar either for his acting. So this is not good.
Oh, you done it now, Jordy Verrill. You monkhead.
Oh, God. So Jordy's itching skin causes him to run a bath, but before he gets in, the image of his deceased father appears to him in the mirror and warns him against getting in the water, since the water is what makes the weeds grow. Jordy gets in anyway, and when morning dawns, he has become a gigantic, lumbering mass of green alien vegetation. So
It's quite emotional, isn't it?
I know, I'm choking up here.
This is the one that really brings a tear to your eye.
It is quite sad, actually, right at the end. So, Jordy shoots himself in the head with a shotgun.
Oh yeah, that is quite sad. I forgot that bit.
You heartless bastard.
Oh no, I forgot.
Revealing that a deep green weeds have penetrated even his brain. Afterwards, a radio announcer is heard forecasting heavy rainfall, suggesting that the extraterrestrial plant life will grow further with the spread to surrounding areas.
Do you know what I find a bit offensive about this is that like people who are supposed to be quote unquote simpletons are always into wrestling. Like he's watching wrestling and you can hear Vince McMahon's voice. This is my trivia. You can hear this is my little bit of trivia. You can hear Vince McMahon's voice doing the commentary in the background. Which I'm sure they didn't clear or ask for. But like it's like, oh, if they're really stupid, simpleton people, then they like wrestling. I'm not having it. One star. No.
Yeah, but the sad bit to this, well, the bit that I found sad, was when he had the gun to his head and he says, "God, let my luck be good just this once." And then he shoots himself.
Wow.
That's sad, Matt. You got.
It's a sad line. Yeah, it is a sad line. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, all these stories are definitely purposely overacted and non-serious and kind of silly in places. But this one,
definitely
definitely amped it up.
Yes.
Yeah, you lunkhead.
Yeah, you love that, don't you?
I do. I like that. I'm keeping that.
Get a t-shirt with lunkhead on it.
I bet there is one. A Jordy Verrill t-shirt.
Probably.
I'm going to get one.
I'm going to get one with the with Ted Danson on it. Just Ted Danson's face. And a big heart.
Okay, so the next story, something to tide you over.
See how I did? I linked to the next one.
Yeah.
Ted Danson playing Ted Danson in a Ted Danson production of Ted Danson is Sexy.
So, Harry Wentworth is awakened by a knock at his door from Richard Vickers. It seems that Harry has been having an affair with Richard's wife Becky, and Richard has come to confront him. Instead of attacking him, Richard plays him a cassette of Becky's terrified voice begging Harry for help. Harry accompanies Richard back to his private beachfront estate, where Richard forces him at gunpoint to climb into a hole in the sand on the beach. Yeah. So we've already spoke about Leslie Nielsen. It's very kind of different, him being the bad guy, because he's obviously mostly known for playing that kind of fun, comedic, witty guy, like Naked Gun, Aeroplane, Police Squad.
Oh man, yeah, he's just a legend. He's just so good. Just got funny bones. Obviously, later on in his career, becoming a comedian and a comedic actor, and being in these kind of melodramas earlier on. You hear some of that when he's running down the beach as well. When Ted Danson's running down the beach, some of that melodramatic music, which I think is quite nice. The scorned husband is a strange role for Leslie Nielsen, but it's fun. I really, really like this one. This is the one that I'm always happy to watch it. Dead straightforward story, but really well made. Like, I think as well, something about Ted Danson's big, handsome head that works perfectly for being buried in sand. It's just the right. Maybe they just chose it because I'm speaking as a person with a rather large head myself. That he's just maybe they chose him just because of the size of his head. They were just like, we need somebody whose head's going to stand out if we bury him in sand. It's like tried other actors and they're just like, no, head's too small. I don't know.
Yeah. So, burying Harry up to his neck, Richard then connects a TV that displays live footage of Becky also buried up to her neck in another location on the beach. The tide is already starting to come in and wash over her face. Richard abandons Harry and goes back to his beach house where he watches the drowning deaths of both Becky and Harry on the TV monitors. Before the last wave covers Harry's head, he vows revenge on Richard.
Amazing. Loved it.
Yeah. Not just the one TV monitor, he's got about 12 of them.
Oh, and they're massive as well. You know, it's not just like it's like an iPad or something. These are big cathode ray emitting TVs. So yeah, these are. He's good with his technology. Is Leslie in this? There
was a lot of videotapes on the. If I'm thinking correctly, there's a lot of videotapes. So is that alluding to the fact that he's done this before?
Maybe, yeah, possibly. He's got like a library of different people. I don't know, because you feel like he knows what he's doing with this. He's got no nerves, so he's not like kind of making it up on the fly. It's really well organized, like he could have done it before. So I think I agree with you on that. But then equally, he's the husband scorned, so how many times has his wife cheated on him? Maybe the joke is that she's cheated on him like loads of times and he's done this to every single guy. That would be quite funny and quite silly, which fits in with Creepshow. So yeah. Like, I don't know. So what I'm saying, I don't know, but like, yeah, it's an interesting point.
This
one thing I didn't need though is a Leslie Nielsen shower scene. Like I didn't have that on my list of things I wanted to see.
This was a really intense one. I think out of all the stories, this is the most intense, because I think drowning has got to be one of the worst ways to die.
Oh, yeah. It's horrible, isn't it? That helplessness. I think anything where someone's helpless. Because if you think, there's not many films like was it 127 Hours where the guy's trapped in the cave, or things being trapped and helpless, like where you can theme a whole film about just being stuck somewhere because that's how scared it is. You can't do that about, like, I don't know, falling and slipping and hurting yourself and make a whole film out of it. It's like, I slipped in the kitchen and killed myself. Like in this case, it's horrible, helplessness and being able to shout and no one can hear you.
Yeah.
And then drowning.
Yeah. I think that underwater visual that you get of Harry's head, that was shot like in just a little kind of fish tank. And then someone who's standing by the side would like lower in the breathe-in regulator, is that what it's called? The mouthpiece?
In
between takes.
The apparatus kind of thing, or apparatus. Yeah. I guess if you weren't careful with this, you could kill somebody by drowning them in a fish tank.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful. I feel like people really trust Tom Savini, like when we talked about Friday the 13th, he's underneath people and blowing blood out of them, and he's doing all kinds of stuff that they just go, firing arrows at people really closely. It's Tom. He knows what he's doing. One time that goes wrong, and we're talking about Tom Savini in a very different way.
I mean, we're talking the early 80s, and there weren't a lot of health and safety rules and regulations back then. You just kind of did it.
They go, that looked really real. It was like, probably because it was.
We need to get this scene now.
Yeah. Before it gets too dark for me to fire an arrow at you or drown you. Or...
So later that night, Richard is alone in the beach house where he seems to hear a voice calling his name. He showers. You like that? Two shuffling figures enter his home, defying many security cameras and alarms that Richard has in place. When Richard emerges from the shower, he hears somebody in his house and immediately thinks it's Harry, somehow still alive. He is terrified to discover that the invaders in his home are the waterlogged corpses of both Becky and Harry. Both of them zombies covered in seaweed with green pruning skin.
Yeah.
Richard gun has no effect. The zombies taunt him the same way that he taunted them. And we finally see Richard, now completely insane, buried on the beach in the same way, waiting for the tide to come in.
Wow. You know, when they're like walking towards him and shouting his name, I never really watched it, but I had like a vivid thing, and I thought it reminds me of I think it's old Greg from the Mighty Boosh. And I was like, I wonder if that's where they got the idea from. Because it's funny, because I don't think I've ever watched the whole episode of the Mighty Boosh, but it just stuck in my head. I was just like, what do they remind me of? And I was like, Noel Fielding.
I know that very well. I'm old Greg.
yeah, that's it, yeah. This reminds me of those guys. It's Richard. It's just the same.
Oh, I've never.
Do you not think they look exactly the same?
Yeah, I've never thought it, but now you've said it, I'm not going to be able to watch this the same ever again.
I'm not an expert on. ruin the film for you.
I mean, this whole story, very intense. Probably the most serious we get out of all these stories. Right up until they started talking. When the zombies started talking, I think that kind of took away a little bit from it. Still scary.
Yeah, and I think like probably this, for me, this and The Crate are probably my two favourites, and they're both quite. They've got some serious elements in them. They've got some actual acting in them. Whether it's Ted Danson's probably the more serious of the two in this, and Leslie Nielsen on the borders, and then in The Crate you've got Hal Holbrook, who I think's really good, but then you've got like Adrienne Barbeau, who's like really over the top.
Oh yeah.
So it's these two are probably my two favourites, but I love this one. I think this one's really good, really clever. Just a simple idea, but I've never seen anything like it, and it's really memorable.
Well, I mean, George A. Romero, he's the zombie king, and I've never seen sea zombies before, so that's a thing.
They don't look like that, do they?
Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. You got anything more you want to add on that one, or?
No, I'm done. I just loved it.
Cute.
That's it. I'm on it. Yeah, I'm on to the next one. I'm already.
You're on to The Crate.
Yeah, I'm on to The Crate.
All right, The Crate. So, a janitor at Horlicks University, Mike, discovers an old dusty crate behind the grate under the basement stairwell. He calls Professor Dexter Stanley to investigate with him, drawing him away from a faculty party. At the gathering is Dexter's good friend, Professor Henry Northrop. Henry is married to an obnoxious shrew of a woman named Wilma. Wilma is continually drunk, embarrasses herself and Henry at the party, and it seems as if she is about to ruin the friendship that Henry shares with Dex. Henry is somewhat meek and fantasizes ways to murder her.
Fair enough.
That was cool.
Well, not fair enough. That's a bad thing to say. Fair enough. No, shouldn't say that.
I think we get a few of them in like 2 or 3 different times where it kind of like goes to him killing her and then it like snaps back to reality.
Yeah, that's if it wasn't Hal Holbrook and you didn't feel so sorry for him, you'd be like, no, this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. You do have some sort of sympathy for. I'm aware that this is fiction, so just before anybody starts saying like anything about political about what I've just said, but you do kind of, because he and Dex both kind of make it very clear that they've never done anything wrong their entire lives. Like you said, they're meek, they're kind, gentle men who just like to play chess, and she's horrible, comedically horrible, because this is a comedy horror, guys, so don't take it too seriously. It's a movie. So there's not a person, I don't think, alive that when she's getting dragged in by that monster in the crate, that beast, they're not going, yes. Maybe you, because it's Adrienne Barbeau, but everybody else is like, yes.
I found it really funny when he like What does he? I think he shoots her first, doesn't he? And then like everyone at the party just kind of looks at him and goes,
"Oh,
yes,
yeah, great, excellent shot." Yeah. A familiar sound from when I got all my quiz questions right last week.
Did you notice what's written on the side of the box? Because I think
should do, but I don't.
I think it's alluding to The Thing by John Carpenter. Because
okay.
it's got something about being from Antarctica, and I think the name of the box says like Julia Carpenter on it.
Oh, okay. I hadn't spotted that. It's really strange because that was my little bit of trivia, is that as of 2020, the animatronics on this was still working because I have had my picture taken with it and it made me jump when the animatronics worked. So, I think I've sent you the picture. If people want to see what it looked like, what the Beast looks like in 2020, I'm sure it's still fine now.
The Beast in the box.
It still works.
Not you.
Yeah. No, I look very different. I look much more haggard, older. But the Beast looks fine. Never aged. Not aged since 1982. It looks really good, and the crate looks really good as well. That's my trivia that Tom Savini makes, or whoever worked with him to do this. I'm sure it wasn't all him. As of 2020, he's makes some long-lasting stuff. It's not like Mr. Blobby where it starts falling apart, or the Gremlins where the rubber starts perishing. This Beast is long-lasting.
I thought that was kind of interesting that it could potentially be linked to The Thing.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
I mean, it's called Fluffy, isn't it? The creature.
Yeah.
So you never know. Fluffy Beast could actually be The Thing.
Could be. It's just grown some hair and.
Yeah.
It's probably underneath all that hair, like that kind of sinewy, slimy thing from the Thing.
Both of those films came out in '82, though. But I think The Thing was released 3 months before. I think it was. So I don't know. It's possible.
It's really good. This section. I think Hal Holbrook. I keep banging on about how good he is, but he plays such a decent, sympathetic character. It's hard to find many actors that do that. I think these days. It's a kind of Jimmy Stewart kind of character. Tom Hanks would play him now. It's that kind of wholesome dude. So to have that when he's doing something really mean, and just to get away with it, and they both agree to just like that's fine. Let's just move on at the end. Is so good. And she's great. She's so OTT. It must have been really fun for Adrienne Barbeau to play that character.
Yeah. So, back at the university, Dex and Mike pulled a crate out from under the stairs, noticing the stamp on the outside of the wooden box indicating that it contains specimens from an Arctic expedition from 1834. When the two of them open it up, they sense movement from the inside, and Mike is attacked by something when it pulls his arm in the crate. Whatever it is, it pulls Mike inside, apparently eating him as it goes, and Dex catches a glimpse of a horrific shaggy beast with huge teeth, aka Fluffy. That's definitely one of the best creature designs out of all of these stories.
Yeah, it's so much. It's a real fun one, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of a bit like we seem to mention Gremlins every week, but it's got a bit of a mogwai, like an angry mogwai. Yeah. Not a gremlin, but not a mogwai, kind of halfway.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really... I mean, you'd know this because you've been next to the box, but how big is that box supposed to be? Because... It fits Fluffy in there, and it seems to be massive.
Yeah, it's pretty
Fluffy.
big. It is pretty big.
And
yeah, it's like on a full, like it was on like one of those fold-away. I think it was not either on one of those fold-away tables or like a table that you would have in like a function room. So it was kind of on one of those. I seem to remember it being pretty big.
So enough for Fluffy plus a full-size human.
Yeah, Fluffy plus friend. Cost a lot in London to rent a box that size.
So Dex runs blindly from the lab and finds the only other person in the hall, a student named Charlie Gearson. Charlie goes down into the lab and finds it covered in blood, with no sign of the crate or the creature. Charlie and Dex find the crate back under the stairs, and when Charlie attempts to investigate, the creature attacks him and eats him too. Dex
Why
is...
not?
Yeah. He's hungry. He's been in there for a long time. Dex is afraid to go to the police. Instead, he goes to Henry's house, and he arrives while Wilma is away for the evening. She tells Henry about the story and the creature, and Henry knows Dexter has to be telling the truth. So Henry hatches a plan. He gives Dex sleeping pills and leaves him locked in his study asleep. Henry writes Wilma a note concocting a bogus story designed to lure her to the lab. And when he gets there, he gets there ahead of her and cleans up all the evidence of the blood. Wilma can't resist Henry's trap, and she shows up at the university as planned. Henry lures her under the stairs, and her obnoxious ranting draws the creature out of its crate and eats Wilma before Henry's eyes. And then Henry
I wonder if Stephen King was going for a breakup while he was writing this.
Yeah.
It just feels quite like full of anger, like sort of misplaced anger just towards anyone female. But it is, I guess it's just funny. I guess it's just a funny story, not to be taken too seriously.
Yeah. Henry wasted no time in knowing exactly what to do.
No, the little period of time when it doesn't arrive and he's like, almost like, come on, take her, and nothing happens, is really well done. I think that's really, like, it's tense, it's funny, and he's just kind of like, and eat her, and nothing happens. I really like that. I think that's really good, that bit. Dex reminds me of, I think it's Clu Gulager from Return of the Living Dead. Like that kind of almost like older guy with a haunted face kind of character. He's really good in this as well. The guy who plays Dex. Yeah, it's when you get it, it's not like tons of, it's only the actual beast. Everything else is just in a house and a university. There's not a lot of stuff going on in there, but because it's the lighting's really good and the smoke and everything's really good. So it just works really well. It tells a nice, simple little story. And like you said, I think the flashbacks are really good earlier on to tell that story of what he'd really like to do.
So Henry then chains it inside the crate and dumps the crate into deep water of a nearby quarry. When Dexter wakes up the next day, he and Henry vow to keep the secret of what really happened and let the authorities deal with the disappearances. The final frames show the creature in its watery trap, tearing the crate into pieces and presumably escaping.
So what happens to the beast?
According to Tom Savini, when Fluffy breaks out of the crate, when it's dumped in the water, remains of Billy, Adrienne Barbeau, remains of her were supposed to float out of the crate to the surface, but that was deleted. They didn't keep that.
Yeah, don't need that, do we?
Nah, not really.
She's really good at like doing that whole, where would you be without me? You wouldn't be able to survive without me. What would I do? What would you do without, constantly berating him in that way? So I like that in a way. I think that's quite a good way of kind of just amping it up. And you get there, you get it straight away. The way she is with those people at the party, she kind of flirts with people in front of him. it just has to get, because it's short, it has to get there fast, doesn't it? So she has to be obnoxious from the first second right until the monster eats her. And it works.
Right. So the final and last story. They're creeping up on you. So Upson Pratt is a neurotic business tycoon who lives in a sterile white penthouse apartment. He communicates with the outside world via the telephone, treating his employees and subordinates in a cutthroat, heartless manner. One phone caller informs him that an employee, Norman Castemeyer, has committed suicide because Pratt fired him, but Pratt seems rather delighted more than upset.
Yeah. He's your Howard Hughes, eccentric billionaire, mad guy, isn't he? Who's obsessed with cleanliness and in his own little shrink-wrap world, protecting himself from nothing really, just the outside world. This one for me is the most that I think is closest to those kind of 60s and 70s Amicus anthologies. So if you like this one, then we can find some similar ones where it's kind of something to do with, like, whether it's a flower or a bug or you're trapped in an elevator or something. It's quite a small. It's all about being in a small space with something horrible. Do you like this one? What do you think of this one?
No.
No.
I was actually going to say this is my least favourite out of all 5 stories. It just seemed things were moving a little too slow for me. I mean, it picked up a little bit towards the end. But
with the raisins and Rice Krispies and everything that are in that.
But it did lose my attention a couple of times.
It's very it's like making a little anti-capitalist statement, I think, isn't it? And he's racist, and again we have to get to the fact that this person is horrific so that something horrible can happen to them really quickly, so we have to really use shorthand, and that sometimes makes it quite interesting. It worked really well in the last one, didn't it? Again, in this one it's quite evocative because it's all white, everything's white and sterile, and then you've got all those creatures coming out of the woodwork or plastic work or metal work or whatever.
And and you do have to get there quite quickly, because I think all these stories are roughly about 20 minutes. Is that about right?
Yeah. So you've got to make it clear straight away in telephone conversations that he's a slave driver, doesn't care about people's well-being, racist, misogynist, just a nasty dude, and like the worst kind of rich person.
So Pratt is obsessed with cleanliness and has a huge phobia of bugs. He keeps finding cockroaches in his apartment, which sets him on a rampage to correct the situation. As Pratt finds more bugs in his apartment, someone gets through on his private line, Norman Castemeyer's widow, Lenore. She calls Pratt to curse him for her husband's death. And then he finds cockroaches in his food processor and his grains of cereal he eats, everywhere. So, yeah, it's starting to pick up a little bit now. I mean, I know it hasn't been particularly long, but it lost me on the beginning. But, things are starting to happen now.
Well, I don't know. I guess you're right. It's not the best. It's not the best one. It is quite striking at the end, I think, and depending on how you feel about insects, could possibly be the most gross for most people. I am on the kind of, I can get a bit strange about cleanliness, and sometimes things like cockroaches and things like that can make me a little bit awkward and itchy feeling. So I get that there is a little political point there. It's a horrible character. He's the only real character in it, isn't he? Who you see the bug guy, you hear a few people, but it's all him.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just not a strong enough actor to carry it, or maybe if it was somebody well known, there'd be a little bit of camp factor to it. I don't know, because I don't really know the actor that well.
Yeah, maybe you're onto something there, actually, because I don't find this scary whatsoever, even the ending. But then again, I have zero phobia of bugs, because I've I've had all sorts like tarantulas, snakes, chameleons, and all stuff. So I've been feeding bugs, cockroaches and crickets and all sorts of locusts.
Yeah, well, I thought about you when I was watching this. I was like, you're going to have a completely different reaction to this than me.
So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
So an electrical blackout occurs and the roaches attack, swarming by the thousands everywhere in Pratt's apartment. Pratt retreats to his safe room, a climate-controlled sleep chamber, just as the phone rings. Lenore's voice curses him over and over. I hope you die, I hope you die. And Pratt discovers his bed swarming with roaches quickly cover him. The power comes back on and the roaches are nowhere to be seen. Pratt's body lies in a glass sleep chamber. Suddenly, swarms of roaches burst from Pratt's body, so many that they nearly fill the glass chamber.
What do you think of that? You like your practical effects?
I do, yeah. I quite like that one. Yeah, that was good.
That was the best bit.
I've got a cool fact as well about this. So, George A. Romero had said that the cockroaches were the most expensive part of the whole movie, stating that the cockroaches cost 50 cents a piece, and they used more than 250,000 of them. So that's a grand total of $125,000 on roaches alone.
Wow, more than building the crate with the monster with a beast in it.
Yeah.
Fluffy, or whatever we want to call him.
Yeah.
Need to decide on a name.
Yeah, that was interesting. Have you got any like bug stories?
No, a bug's life or an ant tail, maybe. No. We've had a good week this week where my dog's not been attacked by any creepy crawlies, and I've not been attacked by any creepy crawlies. I remember. No.
I feel like everyone has at least one kind of encounter at some point with a kind of a bug or whatever.
Not that comes to mind. No. Have you got one? I feel like you have.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I'll tell the one that makes everyone cringe. So when I was about 16, I think I had 2 pet scorpions, and one time when I went to go feed them, I could only see one of them in the tank. So the thing with those scorpions, they were emperor scorpions, so they used to like dig tunnels. So it weren't, uncommon for me not to see them for a couple of days. So I just figured, the other one was down in the tunnel that it made. So a couple of days go past and I still ain't seen it. So I get the tank out. It was only a little tank, and I noticed that there was a hole in the top of the tank. So it had obviously climbed up and got out the hole at some point in the week. So me being a teenager, 16-year-old teenager, still living at home with mum and dad, I wasn't the cleanest of kids, typical teen, just throws his clothes on the floor. So I had a pair of underwear on the floor, and I can't remember who it was. I think my mum or dad, someone had come in and said, clean up your room, pick it up. So I was like, all right. So I picked up my underwear, and that's where it was, still alive, a scorpion in my pants.
That's a good lesson, isn't it?
Yeah, I could have put them on.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you don't reuse your underwear because if it's not, it might have a scorpion in it.
Yeah,
that's what you want to teach your children.
Yeah. So I picked it up, and
horrendous.
Yeah, it was all angry. The stinger was up, ready to sting me because I just pulled my pants off it.
Well, what would happen if it did? Would you have to be rushed to hospital?
Oh, not them ones. No.
Oh, thank God. Oh my days.
Yeah. No. So that was fun.
Underwear scorpions are the worst, I hear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my story.
it doesn't have a horrific ending, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Your whole body didn't explode and scorpions just came out of them like like they're creeping up on you.
No.
So what's next? Is it the bin man?
Yes, the outro.
The bin man cometh.
Yeah, the outro now. So back to reality. So the next morning, 2 garbage collectors find the Creepshow comic book on the curb. They look at the ad in the comic for the X-ray specs and a Charles Atlas bodybuilding course.
Oh yeah, do you know Charles? Are you aware of Charles Atlas? He's the guy who the adverts were like, "Are you tired of guys kicking sand in your face?"
Oh really? No, I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. And you'd buy this like chest expander and different thing, and you'd be all beefy and muscly. It was in comic books even up to like the 80s when I was getting comic books.
Oh wow,
90s.
So they also see the advertisement for the voodoo doll that was briefly glimpsed earlier, but that order form had already been redeemed. Inside the Hopkins house, Stan complains to his wife that he's suffering from a stiff neck, figuring that he must have strained it. Upstairs, Billy is revealed to have sent away for the voodoo doll and has decorated it with a piece of his father's clothing and some of his hair. Stan clutches his throat in pain as Billy repeatedly and gleefully jabs the voodoo doll with a pin, finally getting revenge on his father for his abuse. The images of Billy jabbing the doll becomes the cover of the next issue of Creepshow. The creep is seen holding the same comic book, laughing sinisterly as the candle goes out.
And the little boy goes, "You've ruined my psyche, and I am going to go and write my own series of spooky books now."
Can you put these in order from 1 to 5? Which ones you like best?
Probably not, but I would say Father's Day is my least. Okay, so that's number 5 or 5th. Then Stephen King, Jordy, Verrill. I think that's the Lonesome Death one is 4. Then Creeping Up on You is number 3. Then I would say Something to Tide You Over is number 2, and then number 1, The Crate.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that's off the top of my head, but yeah.
we got our 1s and 2s the same, but
okay.
I would have put They're Creeping Up on You as number 5.
Okay.
Then it was Father's Day. And then at 3, I put The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill. And then
because you like that clip.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Oh, you done it now, Jordy Verrill. You lunkhead.
You lunkhead. And then Something to Tide You Over. And then number 1, I like The Crate the most. I thought that was the best.
Yeah. I think just because out of all of them, I haven't had my picture taken with Ted Danson's head, or with a big green blob or a platter or a cockroach. So because I'm best friends with the Beast, with Fluffy, then that's got to be my number 1.
All right, let's go ahead and rate this one. So I've done the rating of 1 to 10 Father's Day cakes. So
okay.
So my rating is, so it turns out I hadn't seen this film as much as I thought I had, and I was pleasantly surprised in some of the scenes that I'd forgotten about. I think 2 of the best minds in horror combined together has made something quite special. Stephen King collaborated with many great directors such as, John Carpenter and Stanley Kubrick, but there's something about collaborating with George A. Romero that makes this one really stand out. The loudness of the bright, vibrant comic book colours, the palette that's splashed around, very much thrown in your face in places, and I think all the actors did a fantastic job on hitting exactly how this is supposed to feel. It's fiction, therefore, can't be too serious, but also not too silly. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and rate this 8 out of 10 Father's Day cakes.
Ooh, that's a high score. That is a high score. I would agree with what you say. It is literally, like I said earlier on, like a DC Marvel team up of two giants, two people who I love a lot of their work. To be honest with Jorge Romero, I love all of his work. I'll watch anything he does, even some of the later ones, and even The Amusement Park, which is a hard watch. I'll watch them because it's Jorge Romero. I just have so much time for his work and the people and his collaborators. I think they're all great. And Stephen King, again, is going to be mentioned up there with some of the greatest writers of all time in terms of popularity, creativity, and how influential he is. There doesn't need to be any snobbishness with him. He genuinely is just like one of the people's writers, just like Shakespeare was, or Oscar Wilde, or someone like that. We're talking top tier writer. So I'm going to give it a 7, only because a couple of them fell flat for me every single time I've watched them. I like the prologues with Tom Atkins and the epilogue of Tom Atkins, and I love Something to Tide You Over. I love Freight. So yeah, I'm going to give it a strong 7 Father's Day cakes out of 10. And I would really recommend people to go and watch Creepshow 2. You'll get as much. If you love this, you'll love that. Go and get it. Go get it. Watch it. That's me done for my rating. Thank you and good night. No.
That's cool. All right, should we jump into some trivia?
Yeah, let's do this.
Trivia. Oh yeah.
So I've put a lot of trivia kind of throughout the plot anyway, because obviously it was broken up into 5, so I've put a lot of it in there. But I have got just a few here. So the first one, I think you're really going to like this. While he was all about business in his scenes, Leslie Nielsen had a fart machine in his pocket during the shooting. He would let it go off during rehearsals, and just before the director, Jorge Romero, would call action, causing Ted Danson and the crew to crack up with laughter.
He did that his whole career.
Really?
on chat shows. I've seen so many. If you want to just a real wholesome laugh, just Google Leslie Nielsen interviews, and in every interview he did one with Terry Wogan, and he was using it all the way through, and honestly I was just creasing myself laughing. It's the timing of it. It's amazing, so much so that in my Amazon wish list I've had the same little fart machine as for someone to buy me as a gift for years, and no one's bought it. I should have just bought it myself. They're only about £5, but yeah, just like a little black thing, little squeeze thing. You just squeeze it in your hand. So funny. Yeah, but it's him. He's just got funny bones. He's just amazing.
You can very much imagine
that. I was going to mention that earlier on. I was just like, yeah, he's a legend.
So Rice Krispies were used as maggots on the corpse's eyes in the first story, Father's Day. In addition, real maggots were also utilized.
That's a very Tom Savini thing to do.
Yeah. Fluffy, the creature from the crate, was the first fully animatronic creature Tom Savini had ever created. He spent over an hour and a half on the phone with Rob Bottin, effects artist from The Thing, The Howling, and Total Recall, advice on how to build this. It's still working. There's still oil in it. They're still keeping it going. They've still put the WD-40 on it. Yeah. We mentioned Rob Bottin in our episode of The Thing. Yeah, he was like really confident that everything was just going to work, even when John Carpenter wasn't. I remember us saying that. And he's obviously so confident that he's got Tom Savini ringing him up. How'd you do this? So the last bit I've got was during a break in filming, Stephen King took his son to a McDonald's, and as a joke, Joe was made up with bruises and cuts and scabs. The girl at the drive-through window called the police when she saw him.
Do you know what? There's nothing I can say here that sounds good, so I'm just going to go. Yes. Okay, I've heard that story. I don't want to lose any work or any jobs or anything like that. So
yeah. All right, that's all. We've got a new game.
This is a 2-player game.
This is our first 2-player game. So let's
player
jump in.
2. Ready, player 2.
Let's do this.
I want to play a game.
All right. So this game is called Horror Hotties.
Oh, right, okay. That's interesting. Because I was like, this is going to be a wholesome game, so I called it Top Aesthetically Pleasing People in Horror. But yeah, Horror Hotties works too, so let's do that.
So this is the first game that we're actually playing against each other. So the rules are simple. We've both come up with a list of 5 female horror stars that we think are hot, choosing a specific film that she stars in. One says someone on his list, and the other one has to guess which movie in which he thinks the other one has voted them the highest. And so not to come across like sexist pigs, we've also done another list of 5 male horror stars too. Yep. So let's start off with our females.
So am I telling you, when we're doing this, I want to get this right. Am I saying the movie and you're guessing person, or the person and you're guessing the movie?
In my head, I was thinking you'd say your person, and then I'd guess which movie that person's from.
Oh, okay. Either way, it might be quite challenging. Some of these are pretty niche.
Yeah. All right. Should we take it in turns? I do my 5th and you do your 5th?
Yeah, you go first, so then I won't get it wrong.
All right. So my number 5 was Vera Farmiga.
Okay, so that's the woman from, is it The Conjuring?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Oh wow, I've not even seen that movie.
Yeah.
She's also in, I think, in the air, the George Clooney one that I really like. Up in the Air. Okay. It's a very good film.
I've got a feeling I'm not going to get any of yours, but I'll try.
Okay, so do you want me to do male or female?
Let's do our females first.
Okay, so Margot Kidder.
Margot Kidder. Oh, she the one from Amityville Horror?
Maybe, but that's not the film I'm thinking of.
Oh, okay.
She might be. I can't remember if she's in Amityville Horror.
You having a look?
Probably right. I am having a look. I just realised there's like a million films with Amityville in them.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah, so probably... Oh, Margot Kidder is in Amityville Horror, so I guess I'll give you half a point for that. But I was thinking of a character in Black Christmas, because I just like her personality in it. So I could really... yes, she drinks a lot, and she's quite outspoken, but she's quite playful, and... I don't know, she's just got a certain joie de vivre that I like. So, in that... So, yeah, you can have half a point.
Okay. So, my number 4 was... Adrienne Barbeau.
Okay, so do I have to say the specific film?
Yeah. Which film?
So, it's not this film. What we've done today. Is it The Fog?
It is The Fog. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm unbeatable.
Oh man.
I am unbeatable.
Go on then. Give me your number 4.
Okay, so Caroline Munro.
Caroline Munro. I don't recognise that. No idea.
Okay, so I would go, if we weren't doing horror, I would go for her in The Spy Who Loved Me. And
okay.
I mean, she she's a lot older now, don't we? Like most of these people. She was in Maniac and Star Crash, but I'm going to go for the one that I was thinking of was Dracula AD 1972. I think she's really nice in that. She's also somebody I have spent some time with and had a good chat with recently in the last year or so, and she's so lovely.
Ooh.
And such a nice person. So yeah, she's a really nice person.
Okay, I've recently bought that on Blu-ray, but I've still yet to watch it, so I will get around to watching it.
Oh, cool, awesome.
Where are we? Number 3 is Samara Weaving.
Okay, so I know who that is. It's the girl who looks like Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
And is it Ready or Not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I've seen that film. I see that she's like a bride in it, isn't she?
Yeah, she's badass in that.
I've seen that film. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay, my third one is Patricia Arquette.
Oh, yes. What has she been in that's horror? Patricia?
No, I would go for Alabama in True Romance, because that's where I think she's the most amazing.
That's what I was
beautiful
thinking.
Character. But she is in a horror film.
That's immediately what my brain went to. I can't think what horror she's been in.
You're gonna kick yourself, I think, because it is one you know. I'm gonna have to hurry here.
Patricia Arquette. The name. Have we covered this in a previous episode?
No.
Oh, right.
Not yet. I'd like to.
No, I can't think.
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Dream Warriors.
Oh yeah, of course she is. Oh.
Yeah. It's okay. You're not doing the boo. You're not doing the boo sound effect when you get them wrong.
It's not nice being on this side of the booze.
No, it's not, is it? No. Okay, next, where I get this wrong.
Oh, this is an easy one for you. Neve Campbell.
Oh, Scream.
Yeah.
You're like, no, Scream 2.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, Scream. I think probably because I was brought up in the 90s, you know.
Yeah. I was still a child in the 90s. I was 11 in 1991.
Oh, okay, all right, I'm sorry.
I'm not that old. I am that old. Okay, my second lady.
Number 2, yeah.
Barbara Crampton.
Oh my god.
Which sounds like she's like a 90-year-old lady.
Barbara.
But when you go home, put it in your Google machine.
Google machine?
Barbara Crampton. Yeah, put it in your Google machine. And
all right, Grandad.
I'll tell you with the film next to it, and you'll see what I mean.
The Google. Barbara Crampton. I don't think I've even heard of Barbara Crampton. Go on.
So she's in Reanimator, but the one I was thinking of is From Beyond. She's in H.P. Lovecraft From Beyond, Stuart Gordon film. She's amazing in that. Just type in Barbara Crampton From Beyond, and you will agree with me. You won't be like, oh, it's an old lady.
Okay. In my defence, I've not seen them, so
that's fair enough. You still made fun of me for it, though. Right.
All right. So my number 1 is, and I hope I say this right, Salma Hayek.
Oh yeah, Salma Hayek. Yeah.
Is it Hayek?
Oh, so Hayek.
Hayek.
Yeah.
Salma Hayek.
Hayek. Yeah, from. So you'll be thinking she's in loads of things, but you'll be thinking of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, something twist about her. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so I got that right.
Yeah. You've got all of them right, I think. Yeah.
Have I?
Yeah, all 5.
Legend. Right. I'm a legend. Number 1 for me is, and you're not going to get this one either, is Susan George.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. And Susan George.
Beautiful. soon. I don't know.
I wonder if anybody will comment on this or say anything about this and be like, I know who you're talking about, or I'm just that old that nobody knows who they are.
I have no clue whatsoever.
Okay, so she's in a lot of films, but there's one that I was thinking of particularly called Die Screaming Marianne, which I knew you weren't going to get, but
wow.
She is like my ideal woman in horror. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
You were close. No, you weren't. You weren't close. How many did you get? How many did you get of mine? One.
Don't know, one, I think.
No, you got a half. You got half.
Oh, I didn't even get one. Wow.
Yeah, and I got 5.
You got 5 out of 5.
Oh,
yeah.
So you could catch up on the next one, though.
I did have some honourable mentions, though. I went a bit.
Go on. I don't. So
I went a bit over the top with my girls.
50.
Should I just run through them?
Yeah, we've got an hour. Go.
So I had Mila Jovovich. Is that how you say it? You know, from Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Jovovich.
Yeah.
Mila Jovovich. Yeah. Rose McGowan.
Oh, yeah. From
Rose McGowan.
Yeah, Rose McGowan. Planet Terror as well.
Planet Terror is one that I was thinking of, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Kate Beckinsale. But I don't know if this counts because it's Underworld. Is that technically?
Yeah, there's vampires and lichens and all kinds of... Yeah, let's go for it.
I liken it. And Naomi Watts from The Ring.
Okay, yeah. I can't remember. I've seen The Ring, the American one, isn't it? Like, yeah. I've seen Ringu as well, but a long time ago. But yeah, okay, good choices, good honourable mentions. I've not got any honourable mentions, so let's hear it for the boys.
All right, come on, fellas.
Hear it for the boys.
So my number 5 was Jeff Goldblum.
Ooh, okay. Brundlefly.
Yeah.
Easy for me to say. Brundlefly.
I'm going to make this clear before he starts changing.
Yeah, before he becomes like a bit creepier as he gets older in real life as well.
Oh, actually, no. I think it's literally like the day after. You know, like when he's doing like the big workout, swinging from the ceiling, you know.
Yeah. He's full of himself there, isn't he? He's, as the kids say, he's feeling himself.
He's feeling it.
Yeah. My number 5 is Jason Patric, and you're going to get this one.
Jason Patric. I know the name.
A film we have covered.
Jason. Oh, Jason.
They say his name a lot.
Insidious.
His name a lot. No.
Is that right? Who's that then?
No.
Jason. Is that not? Oh.
Do you want another chance? I'm going to give you another chance for this one because you should get it. If I give you the character name.
Jason.
Okay. So the character name is...
Oh, I'm thinking Patrick Wilson.
Michael.
Oh.
Not Michael Myers. It's a film we've covered. Shouts Michael a lot.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah. From Lost Boys. Yeah.
You got it. I'll give you that point.
I was thinking... I think it's Patrick Wilson from Insidious.
Oh, yeah, of course.
When you said we covered it in his name. Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah,
okay. Okay, so... okay, so it might catch you out. I've got Kurt Russell.
Oh, man, that could be it. Do you like guys with beards? I'm going to go with The Thing.
You're wrong.
Hang on a minute, that's not fair. You didn't do it for all the other 4 times. Right.
No.
So what film is it?
I was thinking of Kurt Russell from Escape from New York as Snake Plissken.
Okay, Snake Plissken. You like guys with beards and one eye.
Yeah, eye patch, man.
Yeah, apparently. We like pirates. Okay, mine is, my next one, number 4, Tom Atkins. And it's not from Creepshow.
Ah. Tom Atkins. No.
Going for Tom Atkins in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
No, yeah. Not seen that one.
He's got the moustache in that. He's he's not actually, if it comes to think of it, he's not a particularly likable character. But he's a handsome chap, I guess. He's got some sort of charisma about him, so I went for Tom Atkins. I should have maybe had him as number 5 and Jason Patric as number 4. Anyway, it's too late now.
Okay.
Set in stone.
Oh man, mine are so easy. Right, my next one is Johnny Depp.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yay!
No, Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, that's a horror, right?
There's a ghost in one of them. So, okay, number 3, Billy Warlock.
Billy Warlock.
I've not made the name up in case you like Billy Warlock. It's not a real name. It is.
Billy Warlock. No.
It didn't help just by saying his name over and over again.
No.
It didn't work, no.
No idea.
So it's the film Society, which we'll have to cover at some point. An insane film. But yeah, he's also in the original series of Baywatch. He's quite a handsome little chap. He looks a bit like a Scott Wolf, Tom Cruise kind of guy.
Okay, Kiefer Sutherland.
Lost Boys?
Yeah. David!
Yes! David. Michael! Okay. Number 2, Skeet Ulrich.
Hey! Scream.
No, it's Riverdale. No, yeah, it is. It's Skeet Ulrich in Scream.
Scream 5. Or 6.
No, the first one. He's more handsome in the first one. I only judge him on his handsomeness as a young man.
Do you want to know my number 1?
Yeah.
Skeet Ulrich.
Oh, wow. Well, you'll be surprised with mine. So, yeah, Scream. And my number 1 is Johnny Depp.
Oh, what could that be? A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how we're going to work this one out, but I got 1, 2...
You
got 1. You got 2 of those, I think.
2.
And a half from the other one, so you've got 2.5 points.
2.5. Okay. You, I believe... Oh, no, you got the Kurt Russell one wrong. Other than that, 4 marks.
Oh, 9 out of 10. And you got 2.5. Oh, that's even sweeter.
Yeah, all right.
Whoop, whoop. I know my sexy men. Actually.
Next week, back to the normal...
I'm not going to...
normal quiz.
Yeah, where I lose every week.
Yeah. I don't like this game.
Yeah, that can be arranged.
Cool. Right. Well, that is the show.
That's it. An epic show. Gonna have to edit that down.
Yeah. So, what have we got to plug this week? So next week we're doing Christine by John Carpenter. That'll be a good one.
I'll write that down, Christine.
And the poll pick is now over. So the poll pick for this month was the Possession horror movies. In third place, well, it was between The Possession, Conjuring and Exorcist. So third place was The Possession, which only got 2 votes. In second was The Conjuring, that got 4 votes. But everyone seems to want to watch The Exorcist, which got 14 votes.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm.
Yeah, I want to watch it too because I'm lazy. I want to watch films I like and have seen before. Yeah, oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I'll get my Exorcist books out and do some studying.
I recently bought that on Blu-ray, and I think I'm pretty sure it's the director's cut. You know, the good one.
Oh, it's the really long, the really long one. I saw they had that on at the cinema maybe a year or 2 ago. It was during COVID. And I saw that was the last time I saw it, so yeah, that'll be good to see. And obviously, with William Friedkin passing away yesterday, when we're recording this, it'll be really nice to kind of celebrate that film and how great it is. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad people chose that.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to shout out before we wrap up?
Keep an eye on Al Lecard's channel. I'll be on there soon, plugging this podcast. Just talking about horror and different things that, just different things to do with horror, really, and media, and just having a good chat with him. He's just a great guy, and learn lots from talking to him. And keep an eye on that Creative Psychopaths page. I think the episode that I did will be coming up soon, unless they've shelved it and it'll never be seen. Which is a possibility, I don't know. And we've got a big interview coming up, but I'm not going to say who it is until it is completely wrapped up in a bow. But yeah, it's going to be a good one that hopefully people will enjoy. It just needs a little bit of creative pixie dust from Ben.
Yeah,
I'm not intelligent enough to do. But yeah, hopefully people will like that. But really, the next big one for me is Christine. I can't remember the last time I saw Christine, so yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. Let's get learning about Christine.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, that'll be a nice surprise.
Surprise, motherfucker!
It will.
It will.
When you put it like that, it will.
Cool. All right.
Peace out, man.
That's a wrap. If you've liked today's episode, be sure to go and like us on Facebook. That's where we announce our next episodes, as well as each month doing a themed poll pick where you get to choose what you want us to watch. We like to hear from you, so please feel free to leave us a comment or send us a message, or you can even email us at allthingshorror666@gmail.com. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
We all go a little mad sometimes.